welcome back to Dungeons and Dyslexia. Today I'm continuing my series looking at these. This is Twisted Tales Volume 3. I've already looked at 1 and 2, and I recommend 1 and 2. You know, they are incredibly good books. I had a bit of a niggle on Volume 2. There was a few sort of things I didn't like. It was just more layout issues. Is 3 going to carry on? Is this going to be, you know, just seal off the trilogy? It's not a trilogy though, because he's got a 4 and a 5, so those will be coming soon. You know, can he just keep writing these amazingly prolific, wonderful books with amazing artwork on the cover? They're also, is cheap the wrong thing to say? Really good value, I think, is probably a better way to word it. And this, as you can see from the back, is just it's more than just, it is a giant mega dungeon. 90-page mega dungeon with its own story and plot going on. Well, let's show you where you can buy this, because you're going to buy this one. 3 probably is the magic number. I'm not sure that's the name of the song. It's probably not, because that's not the sort of music I like listening to, but that's irrelevant. Right, so if you're going to pick this up, and you know me, I tend to recommend stuff that I'm excited about. So this is Twisted Tales Volume 3 by Burning Light Press. You can pick it up in PDF or softback cover from TTRPG if or when you pick this up, or if you're going to go and buy it, there's an omnibus as well, so that covers the first 4 chapters. I wasn't aware of that when I bought mine. I don't know whether it was issued then. There's a 5th one on there. They also cover an awful lot of other things. There's a few other Burning Light Press books on there. But if you're going to pick up anything like that, please do use my affiliate link, or any other books from RPG. It does help me pay towards these. I say I'll pick this up out of my own money, and then obviously anything that I use and get from my affiliate link, I'll then put back into buying more books for the channel. So what do we get in Twisted Tales Volume 3? So it's a 35-page booklet, and here we go. We've got a 90-page mega dungeon, and then just details of a rundown village that's seen better days on the outside. Got 13 monsters inside, 2 large treasure tables. They are large treasure tables as well. So, and this dungeon, it's slightly rotated for where you see it when you pick it up. If you enjoy this sort of thing, please do like, share, subscribe to the channel. I have now reopened my other channel as well, which is called Old Boys New Toys. I will be doing all of my crowdfunding stuff over on there. So all of my Kickstarter projects that I do and humble bundles and things, they're going to go on there. And I'm going to keep Dungeons and Dyslexia, just focus on reviews, because I've still got, from what I've been sent and bought recently, about another 50 books to cover. So I'm already on daily videos, and I can't really put 2 a day on a channel. So all the other stuff, so please go and subscribe. I'll put a link for that in the description below. So here we have the cover for Twisted Tales Volume 3. This, I think, is my favourite out of the 3. Go back and look at my other videos and decide what you think. But I really like this, the sort of old man with the sort of, as you can see, I was going to say bullet hole there, but obviously it's not going to be a bullet hole because this is a fantasy horror setting. Mega dungeon, did I mention that a few times? Okay, so, but the artwork, it's all done by the same artist. I'm just going to quickly check the name. Kim Holm, who does all 3 front covers. Amazing artist, amazing. Really like what they're creating here. Right, let's get into the book. As they all do, start with the introduction. I have a few pages on Ornville. So details, a few random tables, the layout of the village itself, some people of interest and people of note. Well, then the rest of the book is, other than some stat blocks and some treasure, is the wonderful 90-room dungeon. And this descriptor here just says, you know, welcome back to the 3rd one. It's filled with dubious characters, deadly creatures, regions overrun with turmoil and wickedness. It's going to cover the rundown village, the cemetery with the 90-room mega dungeon underneath, and then 13 monsters and 2 large treasure tables. The grumble I had with the second one, I've got it in spades with this one, because there is no detail anywhere I could find. I found it in the second book, but in this one I can't find it anywhere on whether this is a starting level adventure or not. I think it is, purely because the way the magnificent mega dungeon is designed. I'll get to that when I get to the mega dungeon bit. It's done really well, but it could turn quite nasty very quickly if the players, let's say, take the wrong turn quite quickly. So we're going to start in with a sort of plan of the village. It's a run down older village. There's not a lot here. We've got 10 random nightmares to roll for the players. This is going to give it's basically your rumours going on, which is going to come through sort of dream sequences. There's going to be 6 random events and 8 quest prompts in there. This village image here is included. There's 3 maps. So you've got a numbered map, a plain map to give to the players, and then you've got the map of the village here. It's a strange one. This isn't really a criticism, because whether this was in here or not, the artwork breaks it up, because it talks about points of interest in the village, and there's 4 points of interest in the village. Only one of them is actually in the village, and then we've got a load of people that live in the village. So you're going to assume that they live in these houses. It's nice that it's there, but the reason it's not numbered is because realistically it's not needed. So the only location we've got actually in the village here is the Pickled Heron, which is the local tavern, and they serve sort of cheap meals. It's just where the players, you can go there. It's a place to come back and carouse realistically. The Lord Manor's house, luxurious manor, half a mile from the town. You can clearly see where all the taxes go. He's got like a nice mowed lawn. This is one of the big things I love about everything that Daniel does in all his books. He manages to get an awful lot of plot and adventure hooks just in a little paragraph, and he does this in all 3 of his books, and it's absolutely wonderful for I'm not a lifetime games master, because I do get to play games as well, but it's just reading different sections going, do you know what, I've got an idea for a one shot, an adventure. You get an idea of how the people are. So we've got this Primrose Tower. So again, half a mile outside the town. It's old and it's crumbling, and recently a scribe called Primrose has turned up. So she's got her own little backstory here in the People of Note. And the cemetery itself is just on the outskirts of town, again with its own backstory. We've got 8 important NPCs that live in the village. We've got the Lord, the greedy man, will just give me all your taxes, I'll have a nice lawn, you can all sort of starve to death point of view. Got the barkeep Francis from the Pickled Heron, Primrose who's in the tower, Pluth the smith that can make anything, Kerod the weaver that can needlework pretty much anything, and then we've got Marion the Fletcher. I'm thinking Maid Marian Robin Hood. I don't mind where you're getting names from. It helps me actually remember these things when I'm running adventures, but that's where, so she's obviously good with the bows and creating bows. Then we got Sir Dabry, who's the right-hand man of the Lord. And then finally we've got Farmer Hess. So we've got 8 there interesting NPCs, so it just gives the village a little bit of flavour. The rest of the book then is sort of put over to the mega dungeon. We've got the history of the mega dungeon, which again, this is what Daniel does. You don't need a history, you don't need the full backstory, but he manages to get it really quickly and concisely in. The first person from the village died. They were looking for someone to bury the person. They found a sarcophagus stone with "Here lies Greyvold, let his fate not be yours." And the villagers went, do you know what? It's a good idea. Let's bury our dead here. Brilliant. just absolutely amazing. They just, what goes on further on, etc. Okay, but when you get into the dungeon, it's more than just now finding Greyvold the Mad in the dungeon, which here is the dwarven demi-lich that was buried rotting in the ground years ago, because we've now got this confrontation with the Kobold clan as well, which Greyvold has taken over and sort of managed to split the clan. So obviously some want to go with Brugg, some want to go with Greyvold. And also, to complicate things further within the dungeon, we've got this Calidor, this wizard that came from a local place that sort of turned up to try and deal with the dungeon himself. Things go wrong, you'll find out as you get into the dungeon. I say there's no real spoilers in what I've told you, and there'll be no spoilers as I get into the dungeon. I won't be detailing the plot of the dungeon. So if you are a player, hopefully I haven't spoiled anything, but kind of stop now, because you're not going to want to see details of the dungeon going through. Get your games master to buy this, or if you're a player and you've never ran a mega dungeon, this is a good place to start. It's nice and simple. It's linear-ish, but you'll see. Oh, hold on. Yeah. So now's the time to go. Now, players, so games masters only, really here. So the dungeon design, it's got a nice key that starts. It just talks about the basic features of it. You know, there's no doors connecting any of the rooms. So if the players want to run away, they're generally outrunning the creatures. They can't slam doors behind them to protect them. We've got 3 different types of rooms. We've got empty rooms, combat rooms, and event rooms. And it does say here that event rooms tend to become combat rooms at some point. Different types of treasure. We've got standard treasure table right at the back and a relic table right at the back. And then, so it will say stuff like 2 times ST or 1 times R. So that'd be 2 times standard, 1 times relic. And then there are also name-specific magic items in the book. There are some secret passages that link some of the sections, which you'll pick as you go through. Many of the creatures have also been shortened because it just keeps the zine shorter, doesn't it? So it's like the big cobalt will be B cobalt. Restocking. So this is a big mega dungeon with not many exits out. So the players are going to have to come a lot of the time. If they want to carouse and level up, they've got to come all the way back out of the dungeon. And as the rules say here, so most things will be replaced within 48 hours. So if they come out, do a few days of carousing, come back in, they're starting again in some sections. So as a games master, you're going to have to keep a note of time and the rooms where things have been killed. So you're going to have a little bit of upkeeping, but rightfully so, because you can't have players taking week gaps in between mega dungeons to sort of level up and go through. So the last thing to sort of mention is this dungeon is divided into 3 sections. Hopefully this will work. So technically, you've got section 1 here. Okay, so sort of rooms 30 and less. Then rooms 30 to around about 60 are all slightly harder. And then 60 on to 90 get harder still. So they have got, as we go over, 3 different random tables depending on, and they count it unsafe, risky, and risky. Okay, so, and the monsters and creatures in there get harder. So the only big problem I've got with this is it doesn't say whether this is a starting level campaign. Looking at the kobolds and the creatures in the back, I'm assuming this is a starting level campaign and your players will level up, I reckon, to probably about 3 or 4 with the experience that appears to be in here and the money, but it doesn't say in the book, so I don't know. Okay, so if that's the worst criticism that you can find, carry on buying the book. It'll come with experience anyway, but this is the way it reads to me. Right, so I'm going to just sort of say this. So this is the bit that it doesn't concern me, because as long as you haven't got sort of 5e players, you know, and what I mean by that is 5e players will go into a mega dungeon and they won't leave. They won't run away, because 5e allows people to be, because you've got a lot of healers in there, so it's unlikely that they're going to die as easy. Where there's not a lot of healing in ShadowDark. Well, there is, until you're healing, your priest healing goes wrong, or it depends if you put scrolls and healing potions, etc. But going into this mega dungeon, the players can go anywhere they want within reason, and they could quite easily end up beyond section 30 within about 3 or 4 rooms, because they're going to start here, room 1. They could go right, go through 8, straight into 24, straight into 27, up into 30, and then the next thing they're at 58 or even into the 60s. I would be tempted to change the temperature, something like that, as you go into the different sections, and just so the players become aware that there's something going on in the dungeon as they're moving through, to not level up, so to speak, that the dungeon's leveling up, but you kind of might want to do something, because as they then hopefully will come back, they'll be aware of the change of pressure or whatever it is you've got in the dungeon, to then sort of find their way, level up, and they'll go, okay, let's try it back up, and they'll go up, and it won't be as quite dangerous going up. That was just my thought as I was going through this. But I'm not going to skip through the mega dungeon, but I'm going to go through this quite quickly, because what I don't want to do is give away a lot. But what I really like about this as you go through, there's a variety of traps and things, and there's a bit, so here, like rat drop-ins is one of the examples, and that is just outside the rat's nest. So it really does tailor and sort of pre-warn potentially players that things are going on. It's like the puzzles here. There's a puzzle with 4 levers, and there's a variety of things like that. So it's not just your standard go and stand on something, another player stand on something. They're going to have to actually think and work out puzzles. So there's a few secret doors and corridors that will go places. You've got the mage for them to find in there and what's happened there. They've got, is it Krug? I can't remember his name. Sorry, the Cobalt boss. Let me just go back. Brug. The Cobalt boss. All that's going on, and there's a load of kobolds they're going to come across with X's on their shields. So we've got that other plot going on, so they're going to need to find out what all that means. Then eventually, as they keep going through, leveling up, they will come to the end level boss, who's in, here he is in his lair. Obviously you can, and he's got his own Necronomicon as well, as you'd imagine. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I really want to run this, but I don't know how long it's going to take. So I think it's going to take a little bit longer. I've having a one-shot coming up, and I don't think I'm going to quite get it through for a one-shot. But creature stats, we've got some specific skeletons and zombies for Grey Vault and the Ghoul, kobolds as well. Then we've got Brugs, Cobalt, and then here Smashers. Then we've got some gargoyles, Farang, skeletal abominations, Brug himself. That's the other thing, actually. The players, hopefully, because the Brug Cobalts and the Grey Vault Cobalts are different, maybe the players will sort of, well, they should work out the differences as the dungeon goes on. And then we've got the stats here for Grey Vault himself, which is your dwarf guy on the front. The standard treasure tables here, we are rolling 2d12, which is different, and then 1d20 for the relics table, and some of them you can keep again if you roll the same numbers. Some of them you're going to need to re-roll. Okay, so that's it. That is the utterly fantastic Twisted Tales Volume 3. I think it's better than 2. I really liked 1. 2 was good because of the hex crawls and stuff, but I did have a couple of issues on a few things. But 3 is, and I think you can probably tell that I really like 3. Your players, so you just try to work out in a way without giving hints personally. Let the players know that they are getting into just, as soon as they go beyond 31 and it becomes risky, whether the other way you could do it is within the ShadowDark rules, just re-roll, rolling your 6 encounter, your D6 encounter more often. But I quite like the thought of doing it in sort of a thematic way. You could have the dungeon drop a level, so you can make it cooler, take some of the air or the oxygen out, have it heat up, just something, or chanting in the background, because obviously there's nowhere for the noise to get out, so you could have the chanting suddenly get a chunk louder as they go further down into the dungeon, getting on to the end thing. But the wizards bit is good. The fact that it's not just a standard dungeon with kobolds fighting, having the 2 sets of kobolds is absolute genius. Love what Daniel's done here with Volume 3. Keep it up. I'm hoping that we're gonna, there's no pressure now of going into volumes 4 and 5. When you're 3 for 3, is it going to carry on going? Find out on this channel. If you enjoyed this sort of thing, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.